Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to have a review. Masjid Al Aqsa, Masjid Al Haram, changing the Qibla from Jerusalem to Mecca. How these connected. There's an argument going on among some enemies saying they're going to rebuild the Temple Mount. All of these things are connected. I'm going to try to connect them with a review of Surat Al Israa, which is directed to the Banu Israel. Have you noticed the letters? It's a big story. And the reason I'm going to review Surat Al Israa right now is it was on my mind, and I called a good friend, an old friend, my age, and she was telling me she's reviewing Surat Al Israa right now. And I said, don't you know I've done this on my channel a couple of times over the years? Well, that was a sign to me from Allah to get back down to review, starting with Quran, of course, and I also am going to review another lesson of the problem with the Najum, that Allah created those beautiful stars, but people take them in the wrong way. So we'll start with this, and then the next lesson will be about how we should really view stars. And I had done that also last year, but this is going to be review time because the next 10 days we're going to be really concentrating. Inshallah, whether you do it at the masjid or you do it at home, just make sure you read Quran all night long, inshallah. So this will be beginning with Surat Al Israa. This is a new rig that I've rigged up. Never mind, it's not important. I can see better this way. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير وآتينا موسى الكتاب وجعلناه هدى لبني إسرائيل ألا تتخذوا من دوني وكيلا ذرية من حملنا مع نوح إنه كان عبدا شكورا وقضينا إلى بني إسرائيل في الكتاب لا تفسدن في الأرض مرتين ولا تعلن علوا كبيرا فإذا جاء وعد الأولاهما بعثنا عليهم عبادا لنا أولي بأس شديد فجاسوا خلال الديار وكان وعدا مفعولا ثم رددنا لكم القرة عليهم وأمددناكم بأموال وبنين وجعلناكم أكثر نفيرا إن أحسنتم لأنفسكم وإن أسأتم فلها فإذا جاء وعد الآخرة لا يسوء وجوهكم ليدخلوا المسجد كما دخلوا أول مرة وليتبروا ما علوا تدبيرا. Now, I'm not going to read you the translation because I've done this already. And you can do it right now because I hope you have your translation with you, but that's only half the story. There is still an ongoing debate among scholars whether or not Allah has punished the two big punishments after they got high. Who am I talking about? Banu Israel. The aluwan kabira. And nobody seems to agree on it. Although there is a verse in the Quran where Allah says, Alladina yakhtalafu fil kitabi lafi shiqaqin ba'id. Allah says those who differ regarding this book are wandering wrongly, far away. Now, does it matter? Can we glean historical, accurate facts from the Quran? Well, if you listen to the scholars, they'll say yes and no. Some will even say, they used to say very much, no, do not try to gauge your life or historical anything from the Quran. That's a point of view. However, when it's coming to what we're living through right now, where you have the enemy at your gates, literally at your gates, trying to take away all power from anyone but them. These are true Yahud. As I mentioned to you, Banu Israel fought in the path of Allah, and I'm never going to stop stressing that. Were they chosen? Yes, they were. Did they obey? Yes, for a while. And then what did they do? They became Yahud. Now, this is the first page, and I'm going over things I've told you, and I'm going to go over it for the next 10 days and nights. We are reviewing this Surat Al Israa in all of its aspects, and we are going to reflect on what we're living in right now. Otherwise, what are we doing? Allah says that the enemy says about the Quran, Asatir al-awwalin. Oh, just old stories. Silly, ridiculous, don't pay any attention. That's what it means. From the past. Asatir al-awwalin. Almost like fairy tales is what the enemy tells us. No. You see, the Quran was revealed in the Arabic tongue, lisan al-Arabi and mubin. That means that every single letter, every single word, every single lesson that we're supposed to gain when we read this book, listen up, pay close attention. So in my case, and we'll stop at this page, I'm just going to digress as I do. Is it called rant? All I know is I've lived a long time. In another year and a half, it's 80 years. And in those 80 years, half of them were spent in America, where I was exposed to so many things. And I came from such a motley crew, mix of Irish and Italian ancestry, wherein I rebelled almost at every turn. I'm going to give you a little hint about the word rebel. I could be wrong, but I do like my letters and I do like my words. And I studied so many languages. We had a civil war between the North and the South. And the South were called the rebels. And we even say now, give a rebel yell. Get those Yankees back where they belong. We're the South. The South will rise again. And I'm living in Florida. So all of this is totally connected to every single word I read in the Quran. Allah tells us in Surat Al Israa that most people don't realize that we're all one ummah. And we have one Lord, one Rabb. But they don't care because Allah tells us in Surat Al Israa, which I mentioned to you earlier was how I became a Muslim when I read that page. But everyone prefers their own version of things. They like what they know and what they believe, and they don't want to budge. Although Allah tells them you're all one ummah. Allah tells us in the Quran that the Torah and the Injil and the Quran are all one message. So when you read it in English, it's going to tell you the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran are all one message. So this that I'm prefacing for you with a review of Surat Al Israa, I'm going to be going over and over and over all of these points until you finally get it. It's called Tawheed. So I asked Allah to help me. It's called Ista'inu Billah. You get your aun from Allah to steer me in the right direction for these last 10 nights, which start tomorrow. And it just immediately came. You're going to do Surat Al Israa, and you're going to continue on with your Kitab al-Tawheed. But I'm going to pick and choose, because for 2 years ago, I was doing that volume and pretty much covered the most important parts of it. The shirk and the kufr, I was going to start all over again, but no, I've changed my mind for these last 10 nights. I'm going to pick my favorite subjects from Kitab al-Tawheed that I think are pertinent and that need a thorough reference and review in the times that we're living in now, because I'm digressing, but I don't really digress. I go off on tangents connected to what I'm talking about. Surat Al Israa is talking about, they want you to think it's only talking about a couple of issues, but let people tafsir what they want to do. They're all connected. And right now we're facing an insane, overwhelming threat. And we know that Allah is going to fix it because we trust Him. We have husn ad-dhan billah. So that means have a good appreciation, have a good idea about Allah. Don't think He's going to blame anyone who's innocent or hurt you in any way. Everyone's running around the internet now, talking about Third World War and all these new missiles and nuclear ballistic whatevers and planes and jets and whatever they call them. And it's almost as though they're the terrorists. This media is over the top. And there's nothing to make you feel hopeful. It's the media. What can I tell you? Now, I know I'm showing my age so much. I think it was back in the 60s. There was a person, I can look it up for you, but you can look it up yourself. Look it up yourself. Do some work. He was an intellectual in America, and he came out with this tagline called, "The media is the message." I'd like to throw in the culture for you because it's important. Nobody really understood what he meant. We thought he meant like television's a big deal now, right? This was before the internet. And he said this sentence, "The media is the message." So we all took it to be, I was not a Muslim then, the importance of television and cinema. But when you really actually delve into this small sentence, the media is the message. What message? You're thinking about right now, right? 2026. The message is supposed to be La ilaha illallah, right? That's the message. Prophet Muhammad came with that message. They're barely referring to anything regarding that message unless it's in a derogatory manner to scare you. They're getting worse now, by the way. So that's why, as my dad would say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I told you, I'm digressing like an elder now, but my dad would always wake us up. My mom would be asleep. My dad would wake us up for school. And he would always wake us up in this way. Up and at 'em. It's just so Irish. Think of the difference between a child that is raised with Islam and the parent will come in and say, Assalamu alaikum. But Allah knows what he's doing, and he knows what he does, and he knows why he does it. So you're going to have to bear with me for this Surat Al Israa, because there's going to be a lot of additions coming out from it that I didn't put in before. New things come all the time to me, especially in Ramadan. You can read your own English translation. So I only ask for you to prepare for the next 10 nights. We will be reviewing Surat Al Israa thoroughly, and we will be doing reviews of parts that I choose from all the 2 years that I spent on Kitab al-Tawheed. And they're not, because I don't have a producer. I don't have, quote, podcast, unquote. I do my lessons in the only way I know how, in a very simplistic manner, because I'm not tech savvy. And I'm trying to give you the best that I have. So if it may seem a bit scattered, it's because I don't have them titled properly. If you go into my channel, you'll see 500 lessons, but sometimes you can't even get which surah I'm working on unless I've decided to title it that way. And I don't like to give the extra stuff. I just like to give the title, and that's it. So I apologize for not being professional enough in my production. Is it called that? The production, the director, the producer. I don't have any help. It's me alone all the time. That's good though. See, Allah likes that. Because Allah says that you can infiru thibatan. Aw, look it up. Jami'an. Allah says you can go forward singularly or in groups. Allah also says, Harid al-mu'minina ala qital. Push the believers to fight. Fight who? Fight what? To me, it's simple. Fight the enemies of Allah. Who are they? Well, you're not going to really know unless you know the Quran. You can't put nationalities in there, and you can't put race in there, and you can't put the apparent look of any person. You can't even tag any other religion. Allah tells you not to, clearly in the Quran. So don't go around and say Buddhists, Hindus, Christians, whatever you call them. Allah tells you not to do that. Concentrate on your own belief system, which is called Islam. And leave them to Allah, because Allah knows who they are. And remember, Allah knows who you are. One of my favorite lines in Quran is ayah. La ya'lamu junudallahi lahu. No one knows the soldiers of Allah except him. So you're not supposed to say I. Prophet Muhammad hated that word. There's a hadith. He didn't like the word I. That will be enough for today. We are coming towards 20 minutes. So we're going to stop now for what is going to be the first page of Isra. New page every day. Remember, tomorrow, I started fasting, which would be our first day of the last 20 nights where we're supposed to read Quran all night. And that's what you're supposed to do too. Your 20 days. They always make, I don't want to talk about that. Okay. Do you? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.